Amani, man, welcome to the Intangible podcast. Excited to have you here. Excited to have you in Nashville, man. I didn't realize you had been here for a year now. How's that transition been for you? And are you liking the city?
Man, I love it. First off, appreciate you having me on the pod, Chris. And Nashville's been great. Like I said, I moved here about a year ago, a little over a year and a half ago, and just kind of a leap of faith. Wanting to come here and explore a new city. Knew a little bit about Nashville. I was committed to Vanderbilt for a little bit before flipping to Penn State. So I kind of got to, see the city a little bit. It's changed a lot since then, but we love it, man. It's become home. So.
Oh, okay. So James Franklin got you to.
James Franklin He got me committed to Vanderbilt, and then we ended up, turning it over to Penn State, which I don't regret at all. That was a great experience. Met some lifelong friends, and won some big games and had fun doing it. So.
Yeah, man, you guys have been good for some years now. Well, I know you've played at Penn State. You led the league in 2021 interceptions. You've done some really good things in your career. You've also all conference at Penn State. I mean, so your background, your history is awesome, man. But what I like to kind of do is kind of really kind of get to know the person that before all of that. And so let's start there, man. How, where are you from? How did you grow up, and how did that shape this mentality, this mindset that you have to be the person that you are today as you're making these different transitions through college and pro, and eventually getting to the other side of the table into life?
No, for sure. Yeah, I grew up, to start off, I grew up in Tampa, Florida.
Tampa guy.
Tampa guy, Florida boy. Grew up there, youngest of three boys. And, I really, what was instilled in me early was discipline. My mom just retired December 2023, 37 years in the Navy.
Oh, wow.
And so she didn't play no games, she ran a tight ship. And so she had to, having three boys. And so, it began, the simplest things like making your bed in the morning, doing the little things, waking up and just wanting to just always touch on those little attention to detail intangibles that, will help sustain you throughout the day. And I didn't realize at the time that it was doing that. But as I got older, I realized, this is what separated me from other guys, doing the little things, making sure, I'm putting school first. I'm doing respecting your elders, just little things that eventually add up that, you're going to need to be a, world-class athlete. And so, just from the start, from growing up, I think I always had to pay attention to those little things, and it stuck with me, throughout my whole career.
Yeah, man. I mean, mom in the Navy, what was the punishment like?
She get that switch out. She get that switch out if she needed to. No, man, she did what she needed to do. She was tough on us. But like I said, as I got older, I realized it was all for good because, you kind of you rather have that at home and set the standard for what, a young black man is supposed to be in this world, and how they got to grow up, and rather than let the world eat them alive. And so I think she did a great job of that, and having two older brothers kind of guide me as well. They did a great job of helping me, just mentor me into get into that space to be able to succeed the way I have. So
you talk about that switch. I got that switch a lot growing up, and now I can't parent the way I was parented. And so I got this hill right outside my house going up the street here, and so I had to go back to military style with my kids now. It's like, hey, you want to talk back? Go up and hit that hill. Let's go. Let's go. We're gonna run a couple of these, then we'll see what happens.
Good.
So growing up, was sports a big thing in your family, or was it something that you just coach pulled you aside and say, hey man, I want you to play sports?
I started off playing soccer. I don't know what the attraction was. I think it was just I honestly think it's a great entry level game to any kid, because you're just running and kicking a ball, and you're just learning your body, learning how to just work as a team. Hand-eye coordination, footwork, all those type of things. So started off playing soccer, played for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
But I always had a passion for football, like from video games, playing college football, Madden, things like that. And I was the first one to really just kind of push my mom to, just be like, hey, can you throw me in Little League football? And that wasn't common in our family. And so, and at the time, I wouldn't even say she was, in a place to really afford doing that.
Yeah.
But, for me, she sacrificed a lot to do that. And so I'm super grateful for that. But it started with Little League football and, just getting into it and just kind of just doing it as an extracurricular activity. And so did 3 years of that. And then after that, went to high school and jumped right into JV football and just learned so much. Like I said, my older brothers played and I'm just watching the guys I played with and the guys ahead of me, just seeing how they went about their business, how they did things. And I don't know, I think it clicked to me my second or third year that I was like, okay, I'm actually pretty decent at this sport.
Yeah.
I can do something with it. And then once I got my first scholarship offer, I knew it was real, that I could, make a difference in my family and, not have to pay for college and do all that. So yeah, it was a great journey and I'm super thankful for how it worked out.
Well, you were in the recruiting era where before NIL and transfer portal. Tell me, what was your recruiting experience like?
Man, that's a crazy story. Yeah, my recruiting experience was interesting. Like I said, I got my first scholarship offer from Louisville when Charlie Strong was there as the head coach. That was after my junior year, going to my senior year. And, at that point, I'm like, okay, wow, I actually can do something with this. And so they just started coming in after that. Ended up with 26 scholarship offers from, a variety of schools and really didn't know, like I said, how to go about choosing and where to start. I didn't have anyone above me that did that.
Right.
So it's I was the first generation of doing it. So I had a lot of help with my, high school coach and things like that and other mentors I had. And, went out and did some, these like kind of 7-on-7, I guess you can call it.
You were the 7-on-7 is a big deal now. So you were in that era when 7-on-7 really started to pick
big.
up.
Yeah. 7-on-7 was huge. You can really get, a lot of attention from college scouts from that. And so they had a kind of like a club program called Team Tampa. That helped me get the exposure for actually seeing Vanderbilt. And I think what attracted me to Vanderbilt was, one, my mom didn't play by education. So, they call it the Yale of the South. It was, I knew at the end of the day, football wasn't going to end. So to have a Vanderbilt degree was going to hold a lot of weight, but also to play SEC football at the same time to be like, okay, I'm getting that competition against SEC opponents. So I can make it to the league because I'm going to have that kind of film. Obviously didn't work out that way, but was committed to Vanderbilt for a while. And then Coach Franklin and his staff ended up leaving and going to Penn State like three weeks before signing day. And so in my mind, I was like, dang, I heard about Penn State. I don't know too much about it, but, let's see. And at the time we were in a tough position where, they had still the sanctions they were dealing with, and limited scholarships. And so I came up there. The way Penn State used to do it, they would have a big official visit weekend where, all the commits would come in and they'll bring in some other guys who were, on the verge of committing and try to get them, to commit that weekend. And so that was like 2 weeks before signing day. And I'm not committed. I mean, I'm committed to Vanderbilt, but at this point I'm like, I don't know what the staff they're going to have. I don't know what's going on. I built a relationship with this staff. So let's see what Penn State's about. Go up there and meet all my lifelong buddies now, Tracy McSorley, Marcus Allen, Troy Apke, Jason Cabana, Grant Haley, all these guys that I played with. And I immediately connected with those guys. And, I'm being a Florida boy, seeing snow for the first time.
That's what I'm sitting there thinking. Florida boy going in that cold.
I was like, but I was so much different because I looked at it as like, man, I'm only going to be able to do this for 4 or 5 years of my life. Like, it's an experience. Right. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see it as like, dang, I ain't gonna be able to do this. I don't know.
Great mindset.
It was different. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I was happy about it. But long story short, I ended up doing that weekend, got to the last day and was looking to commit. And I was like, man, I want to commit. And Coach Franklin sat me down and my mom and we were.
He bring that bag with him.
Huh?
He bring that bag with him. He dropped that bag off.
No. Well, the crazy thing was, like I said, I was a 3-star recruit. And they had other guys that they had their mind on, their eyesight on. And so in my mind, I was like, man, like, I was committed to Vanderbilt. They're going to want me here. And so, they bring me into the room and we sit down, we're talking, and, he starts explaining the whole scholarship situation and basically essentially offers me a gray shirt opportunity. Yeah. And if those that don't know what a gray shirt is they bring you in the following, as an early enrollee the following year, which that first fall you would, take classes at a community college or whatever it is. But it's just a way to roll over guys, scholarship guys. And so, but at the time, having so many other offers, I felt like it was a slap in the face. Yeah. And so my mom was super upset about it. And I mean, she got up and walked out the meeting. And so it was tough at the time. And, at the time I was kind of flustered because I was like, I didn't know what to do. I thought this was kind of it. So I was scheduling a visit to go to Mizzou to go see them. And, they ended up calling me later that week and saying stuff opened up that I could commit. And I knew my whole mindset was the guys that were there. I knew the guys that were in that locker room were so important. And I knew they were going to be such a big change in Penn State that was why I committed. And that's why I wanted to be there, is to be around those guys and playing that type of football. And like I said, I'm glad I did make that decision. My mom didn't like it because she was just like,
she's still mad.
She's still mad, but I knew it was for the best, and it worked out.
So did you end up going on a gray shirt?
No, I didn't. Yeah, they ended up opening up a scholarship. So I enrolled, came in summer 2014, and I had a normal 4-year scholarship deal. Redshirted my first year, but stayed for 4 or 5 years and played some good ball. And
so you end up redshirting, and then you after your redshirt year, you end up earning your spot. Yeah, as you're already, different, thinking about the big picture. Yeah. Was the big picture for you is, hey, I want to stack this film so I can get to the league? Or was it still about the education piece of it?
Man, education was always something in my mind. Like, I was taking advantage of those summer classes. Once they told me,
what, you didn't go back to Florida in the summertime?
No, well, we had to be up there to work out for summer program. But so I was like, if we already got to be up here, I'm gonna take advantage of these classes, because once I heard that you can graduate in 3.5 years, I'm like, man, if I can go to the league and have my degree, which a lot of guys don't do, they'll leave in 3 years without their degree. I was like, that's a steal. And so I was trying to take advantage of that as much as I could. But
at any point did you think about leaving?
No, I really didn't. Just because that wasn't even, I don't know, that just wasn't even who I was. Like, even hearing guys in high school have transferred 2-3 times to find a place. I just went to the high school that was zoned to me. Yeah. The closest high school that I can go to. And like I said, I was never one of those kids that was like, the NFL was always the goal from the beginning. Yeah. Like, that was never my outlook. I was just kind of, I liked enjoying time with my friends, spending time doing that. I like sports. And so I just kind of year by year was doing that. But, once I earned a scholarship, I knew that, I could do something more with it. And even when I got to college, it was like, all right, like, redshirted. Okay, I need to get bigger. I need to get faster. I need to get stronger. I need to develop. Okay, I'm doing that. Redshirt freshman year, playing a little special teams, getting in there. Okay, my third year, someone goes down, boom, I got opportunity. And right then and there, I just played ball, just went out there and did what I did. And, I was someone who just always had good ball skills. And, I would go make plays on the ball. I remember one spring, I think I was what they would label the takeaway king, because I was just getting so many picks and in different ways and making plays on the ball, and it carried over to the games. But it's like each year I just kind of took it for what it was. And then once that opportunity came and I started actually making plays, and this is at a time where the NFL was starting to transition to bigger, longer corners. Right. And so that
Richard Sherman,
buzz. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The Brandon Browners, all those guys were coming out. So I was like, there was a little bit more hype around me, playing at a big school like that and being able to find the ball and make plays at that level. So, each year it became more of a realization that, like, I could do this. I could go play in the NFL. And, and so, by the end of my career, got the opportunity.
We focus so much on the sports side of it, the ball side of it. How did you balance the academic side of it? Penn State is, it's a you can go anywhere and get a job anywhere with a degree
sure.
from Penn State, and, with a track of trying to graduate in 3.5 years, how did you balance all of that while still being able to show up and, do your job on the field? And those kind of like lean into the intangibles that people don't really get the chance to see. And so, because it is a lot of hard work. So for you, how was that?
Yeah, I thought it was, for me, it wasn't easy in the beginning, but I think, where I grew a lot in college was just learning time management. I think that's something that's key for the next generation going into college is learning how to manage your time. You have a set schedule with football and sports or whatever it is, but being able to set time aside to say, okay, like I'm not going to just jump to go do this social activity. I got to sit down and study for my exam. I got to, once I leave, or I might have to go to the academic center and, utilizing their advisors they have there and the tutors and the things like that to get ahead. And that for me was a huge resource because I was able to get ahead and have a lot of my work done before I even had to go to practice or deal with the game. So all the academic stuff was handled before Saturday came and I was able to just focus on football. So I think time management is a huge, huge factor for guys.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more now. What the game has evolved to what it is now, where there's a lot of events you have to show up for. Did you guys have that? Now you coming off the field, you got to have a phone in your face doing some type of Instagram thing, and you got to go and do this signing. Did that get to you before you made that transition out?
No, I think I learned how to manage it the most during that. I mean, they had media kind of training for us in college as well, but doing that, I just kind of was trying to just be me, the best version of me, whenever that time came. If I made a game-winning pick and I had to go talk on social media or do any of that, it was just like, whatever the first thing that came out of my mind, out of my mouth, I just kind of said, but it was, I learned as I went, the proper way to answer questions, the proper way to go about things and to, address the media and do things like that. But, and then that prepared me for when I got to the league to, handle interviews and autographs and things like that.
I'm sitting there thinking about just the name recognition of Penn State, just that brand. Yeah. It's up there with that like Notre Dame's and Alabama's. What is it about that place that makes it so attractive?
I would say what makes Penn State so attractive is
being that it's not in the SEC. I was just
being that it's not in the SEC. Well, truthfully, I feel like all the SEC hype is kind of. I was in the past. Come on.
Like, we gotta have a debate here.
It's SEC gonna be the SEC, but the SEC like holding its name. I think that was back when we were playing. The Alabamas and the LSU's were there, but Big Ten's came a long way. Just saying. But anyways,
where are those kids from? I put it as where are they coming from?
Where are those kids coming from?
A lot of the kids
Florida from the South.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So that extends to SEC.
For sure. No
in
doubt.
my opinion.
No doubt. No, I think Penn State is so renowned because of the culture and the history and just the prominence it's had over, decades and decades. I mean, it dates back so far. And you meet kids that go there and players that go there. That's dads, granddad went there. And so it's so much, I don't want to say so much responsibility, but it's so much just like honor to be able to go out there and put on that blue and white and go to war. You feel it.
You feel that.
Yeah, you feel it. You hear about it through the fans. You hear about it through the student body and just the history of, all the players. That's like, you kind of have a duty to go out there and represent. And so I didn't know anything about that until I got into Penn State, until I really got into it being from Florida. I grew up watching SEC, but it's a culture that dates so far back that, you have so much honor going out there to play at Penn State. And I think the history that, even we had, my class being there, that we left was pivotal in Penn State's history. And so every year you go in there, it's like, everyone's watching, all the alumni, all the former players, they just want to see you win. And so it was an honor to go there and play. So. I got a chance to go experience Notre Dame for the first time a couple of years ago. Yeah. And
and you don't really realize it until you go there, just that what you can feel of the history of a program like that. And so never been to Penn State, need to go take a visit, man. And that's why I was just kind of curious of like, what is that thing that really attracts someone down to Penn State? And having that feeling of walking out of Notre Dame and realizing, oh my gosh, the history, as soon as you drive up, you start to feel that. And, you know, and I'm an SEC guy and I'm like, man, this is really cool. So before we jump into your NFL career, I want to go take you through a quick 2 minutes, like a little 2-minute drill we like to do going into halftime. Nothing serious. It's not the end of the game. We'll go to your first interception in the NFL. What do you remember about it?
First interception in NFL. I remember it. What I remember about it was seeing that play multiple times in practice, walking through it and doing it. And I was very, you know, I was drafted, fortunately, to have a veteran like Darius Slay, you know, in my room, ball hawk, you know, film study guru. And so he taught me how to study film and just splits, you know, receivers. And so I knew once I saw the formation in that split, it was kind of one of those moments which as a rookie, you don't really have, you know, you're not really that confident to just take that chance. But I just felt some kind of confidence, or my body just kind of go that way just after, you know, repetitively seeing it. It was actually Dwayne Haskins, RP to him, that threw it. But he threw an out route, and, you know, I broke on it at the right time, made a good play on it and secured it. And I was super happy. I didn't even know what to do. I just ran across the field, just everyone trying to celebrate. I'm just like banging heads, just running. But no, it was definitely memorable.
All right, that's awesome, man. The most underrated wide receiver you've covered.
Underrated wide receiver? I don't know if they would say Adam Thielen's underrated. I think he's kind of he's made a name for himself now, but he's always been that second guy.
Right.
But I think the craftiness he has and the savviness as a vet that he had when he was in his prime
in Minnesota.
Was something special for sure. And there's a reason why he's, you know, played so many years in the league, because he understood his game and how to manipulate other people's game. But I'd probably say Thielen.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. I like that. That's a good one. Favorite stadium to play in?
College or NFL?
It can be either.
Outside of Beaver Stadium?
No, you can. I'll give it to you.
Well, I said Beaver Stadium. But outside of that, I thought I only played there one time. Iowa Kinnick Stadium was a very interesting place to play. The seats are right behind the bench, so you can hear they right here. You know what I mean? She yelling, you know, we trying to get the correction from our coach, and I can't hear nothing because they're right here. But it was interesting. We played one night game there, and that was a one and only time I played Iowa, but it was very electric in there. And they do this whole thing where they look up at the box and they talk to and they kind of wave at the kids that they have, the children's hospital kids that'll be in there and watching the game. It was a cool moment. But I'll probably say Kinnick Stadium.
That's cool. That's really cool. One thing that people don't know that is probably one of the hardest things about playing corner.
Truly having we talk about it, but truly having a short-term memory.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at corner, you're going to get your fair share of work, especially if you're going against some top-notch guys and a good quarterback. You know, they're going to test you throughout the game. But just being able to truly say, all right, that play's behind me, like the next play. Because you can go from being, you know, everyone, you know, ready to, you know, talk down on you, talk crazy about you after giving up a touchdown, to being the hero, getting the game-winning pick in a matter of 5 plays. So you got to be in tune to be able to do that. And so that's what I try to. Every day, I'm always worried. I'm always thinking that same thing. Like, I give up a catch, whatever. That ain't nothing. Like, next play, you know, I got a chance. I got an opportunity to go make a play, splash play. So I probably say that short-term memory. That's
a mindset that has to be developed.
Yeah.
How do you learn to move on to the next play?
Well,
how did you learn that?
You got to get beat for a good amount of time. You get beat enough times, you're going to learn naturally, and that just happens at corner. You know, I think it's the hardest position to play in the league, from so many different standpoints. But you get beat enough times, you start to train your mind and find a different mode to get in where you're like, if I worry about that last play, I feel it trickling into the next play. So I have to train myself not to do that. And it starts with practice, testing your technique in practice. And, if you're working on your technique, you're going to get beat sometimes. But
right.
You let those be learning moments before you get to the game so that you can go out there and be confident in your technique and just go do it. But yeah, I think just overall training your mind. I mean, if you get caught up in all the social media stuff, people nowadays, social media, I mean, it's way different than in the past where, you got to wake up. In the past, I feel like you wouldn't hear the news until the next morning paper.
Right.
But nowadays, it's like right after the game, you look at your phone, it's boom, boom, boom.
Right.
They're going to let you know if you did something good or bad. But just knowing that that can't fuel you. You got a job to do. You got to go out there and do your job. And so for me, that's the ultimate thing is just keeping the main thing and worried about the mission ahead and letting all that stuff. That's what they're for.
Yeah.
They can do all that talking, but they're not the people that are out there actually strapping up and playing. So just worrying about the job at hand.
Over the years, have you had to build a toolbox of things that to help you keep that main thing, like, having a sports psychologist and, meditation, things like that, having, advisor, people that you can, sit down and just vent to, have you built that toolbox over the years for yourself?
Yeah, I don't think I've had anyone specific that I needed to talk to. I do have a therapist now that has helped me in the back end of my NFL career with a lot of that stuff and just being able to compartmentalize things and whatnot. But I definitely think you got to have some kind of process. And for me, it's just either deleting the app or, just having that stuff just not even in your face in general. Or even just, when you come home, not letting that be the first thing I do is opening up social media, being able to just spend time with family, like you said, meditate, do other things to try to stay grounded, big into my faith, and so, talking to God, praying and being able to get into scripture, that's done wonders for my career and for my mindset mentally. And so just a combination of those things, whatever works for,
that's why I say that you got to have a toolbox, and especially in this day and age. I mean, I'm sure back then too, it just wasn't talked about enough. To have a toolbox of things that you can do daily that kind of keep that mind focused and being able to not let those emotions get trapped in your body so that you can go out and perform at a high level. And that's part of what, these intangibles are important to know. Is creating the self-awareness of yourself so know what you need to thrive and not just, be in this mindset of like, man, I'm in Groundhog's Day every single day. And so as we kind of like, think about that kind of toolbox, we put it back into the category of, the athletic side of things, ball hawking skills. And you become known as the king of takeaways. And that got you to a place where you got recognized, got noticed, and you end up getting drafted by the Detroit Lions. 5th round draft pick. And here you are now, you're walking into an organization and you're on the big stage. And as for some of us, we get to a place where we're like, man, I made it. And then there's other of us is like, okay, I've made it now. What's next? Now, how do I get to the next stage? Of, how do I work my way up to becoming maybe a Hall of Famer or just, even a little smaller goals and just having a good rookie year. It's hard coming in as a rookie and then being able to go out and then also contributing to the team. And so, I sat my a lot of my rookie year just to learn, especially being a center. You know, so how was that, draft day and then, that transition into having a rookie year that you did?
Yeah, I thought, first off, draft day was nerve-wracking. I don't know why, but it's just, you put so much work in. Man. It's important. And, you hear a lot of different things and projections, and you never really know how it's going to play out. So I would say anybody who's in that, up in the air, kind of don't know if you're going to go what round, just sit and relax, enjoy time with your family, enjoy the moment. Because I know for me, it definitely was nerve-wracking, but all that went away once my name was called. It was just like so much joy, and to be able to celebrate with my friends and family was awesome. But
who was on the call for you? Who called you?
GM Bob Quinn called me, and then he gave the phone to Matt Patricia at the time, and I saw that. I think it was that 313 area code, and I was just like, okay, all right, I know what it is. We're gonna have some work to do. So, but it was just exciting to hear someone call you, and no matter what, anyone thinks of those guys, like just for them to believe in me at that time I'm super grateful for. And so, but yeah, that moment was huge. Got up there, and for me, it was just how can I get acclimated as quickly as I can. I wanted the playbook right now so I could try to learn it. And what was very huge for me was having vets like Darius Slay, Rashawn Melvin, guys that were there that were, year 7, year 8, year 9, back into their careers, that had so much experience and knowledge to learn from that, I was just soaking it all in. And it was great. I mean, I was trying to learn the system as best as I could. I was inactive for the first few games, just kind of watching and sitting back, which I didn't mind because I was just like,
soaking it up.
Yeah, soaking it up because I knew, when that time came, I'd be ready to go. And ended up getting to start 8 games my rookie year. Snagged 2 picks, which, I was super grateful for, but got my feet wet right away. And I knew that, somewhere like Detroit was going to need my best to be able to help try to turn that program around. And it was an experience for sure.
Man, take me through a day of a practice with Patricia, man. I heard
we can be here all day. It was different, man. They were built different. They came in with a mindset that they wanted to just kind of blow everything up and start over with their regiment. But I remember getting there one day and seeing them building a hill out of the practice field.
Building a hill.
Exactly. Wow. I was like, it was your normal practice field, but then I see them adding all this dirt and sand and ended up building a hill at the back end of our practice field. And I had no idea what it was for, but come to find out, we were running that hill every Wednesday practice at the end. And
after practice.
Yeah, after practice. And I'm talking up to week 14, 15.
Are you serious?
That's just something they believed in. I think it was something that stemmed from New England that they learned. But it was tough, man. We were, throughout camp, it was a grind. It was, we were going 4 days straight, without an off day. And so, but for me, it's all I knew, being drafted there. I didn't know there was a lot of other guys there that kind of came from other programs and were, a little bitter about it. But I just try to embrace it and just go. And
all the old guys are bitter about it because
they're like, man, y'all taking years off my career.
My body's already beat up. What are we doing?
Right, no doubt.
It's not college when I'm young and I'm spry.
I see what they mean. I see it. But
now you're built for. Now they built you for the league.
Yep.
In 2021, you have a breakout year.
Yeah.
What was the things that you learned that prepared you to have that breakout year?
Well, I truly learned how to study film. I truly felt like I was at a position where I had a process throughout the week, in terms of taking care of my body, nutrition, maintenance.
That's important, body and nutrition, man.
Yeah, because it's a long season, bro. Like 17 games. It's going to catch up to you if you don't have your own process. So I finally had a good process that I felt good about. And the system that we had when Aaron Glenn came in, it became. I credit him and Coach Aubrey Pleasant just because they made it so simple for us, so that once we got it, we could just go play fast. And as a corner, I think the biggest things that that can help you play fast is knowing where my help is, knowing my leverage, knowing where my strains are in a play and where I can, the plays I need to defend. And I got a better understanding of just football and especially that system, which happened to be the same system I'm in right now with Tennessee. But that helped me just, be able to just go out there and just play free-minded and just go make calculated decisions.
Yeah.
And so, it was great, man. It was a fun year. I think once we got into the year, I didn't really know what to expect. I kind of started off just kind of getting my feet wet a little bit, new system, and things like that. But I know once I got my hands on the ball the first time, I knew they were going to come in bunches. And so
typically does.
So it was an exciting, fulfilling year.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, you go on and you've played for multiple teams. As I think about that mindset, how have you been able to adapt to different systems and still be able to perform at a high level?
Yeah. I think it's just about being a pro. I think it's about, having, like I said, your process no matter where I go. I know what I'm doing when I get up in the morning. I know what I'm doing post practice. I know what I'm doing when I get home. And so no matter when I was in New York or Jacksonville or anything, it was learning that specific system, but keeping my process going and being consistent. I think that could separate a lot of guys in the league. Is guys come, one place and they get caught up in the locker room and wanted to be, it's cool, like you said, to have friends and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's a job to get done, and just keeping the main thing, and keeping my faith strong. I think kept me stable and kept me grounded, and no matter where I went. Every situation was different. I was cut from the Giants, and I was cut from the Jags as well, and do two different situations, but I learned something so pivotal from each place that helped me keep spring forward to when the Cowboys picked me up and gave me opportunity. So every year was different.
Yeah. What are the emotions like getting cut? How do you not let it affect you where you don't keep putting yourself out there to get to the next one?
I'd say the first couple times it's tough because, especially someone like me, or I would think anybody, you're putting your best foot forward every single day and maximizing that day and feeling like I exhausted myself of effort and, opportunity, and to feel like that's not enough was tough. But I think as I got into it a little bit, and it happened a couple times, I realized it's part of the business.
Right.
And I realized that, it's not an attack at me, the person. It was more just, the transactions that they kind of had to make. And
it's so hard not to take it personal.
It's tough though, because you feel like, dang, it's all these different people. Why me? And I had to stop doing that, stop thinking why me, and realize, it's part of the system. You did, as long as if I was cut and I knew in my own mind that I exerted all I could and I exhausted myself, I can be at peace with that. Yeah. I can truly be like, okay, thank you for, the opportunity, and move on and get ready for the next opportunity. But it's tough in the beginning. I won't lie. It is.
That makes sense, man. It's just, you have to get to that place of just like, I put my best foot forward every time I stepped out on the field.
That's all you can do.
Yeah. For me, when I think about the transitions of the different locker rooms that I've been a part of, how did you go about your process about ingratiating yourself into a new locker room?
Yeah.
Because that can be tricky too.
Yeah. Well, for me, I've always been a pretty outgoing guy. Not overly exerting myself, but I feel like in every locker room, there's somebody that I kind of had some kind of connection with, whether we came in, played in the Senior Bowl together, or we were, throughout the combine process, or we played each other in college or something like that. I always had somebody I can immediately connect to, and then it just kind of spread from there. And
it is brotherhood way.
Yeah, it's
somebody, most places,
for sure. That's what I'm saying. So it never was too hard for me. I never was someone who grew up, I guess, really had a hard time making friends, just because I feel like people are comfortable around me. Like, we can talk about whatever. We can, laugh and joke. I can hang around different crowds. I hang around the specialists. I hang around the DBs. I hang around. It don't matter. But yeah, I never really had too much of a struggle with that.
How do you define yourself as you started to think about, maybe life after football, or you're 1 year at a time right now? How do you define, who you are right now outside of the game?
Yeah. Outside of the game, I feel like I'm someone who is versatile, someone who's opportunistic. I feel like I'm someone who, like, I want to learn, and I want to add as many skills as I can. I've gotten heavy into golf, super into it now. A lot of my friends are into it. And so that's introduced me to so many different people and different opportunities. And off the field, I've been intrigued by just successful people and their mindset. I feel like I've met, different people that are successful in whatever it is, commercial real estate, financial advising, venture capital, whatever it is, there was something there that they learned or something that they had that made them great at what they did. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested to know what it is, because whatever that path is for me post-football, I know I can take all the intangibles and the fundamentals from football and apply it to that. So it's just, I just like meeting people and networking and learning as much as I can right now. And, you know, I do a little real estate development on the side as well off the field. And just because like you said, I know once I got into the league, that clock started for, you know, when it's going to be over. And so for me, real estate was always something that I picked up a little bit more natural. And so from that, it stemmed to so many other things. And I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can and be a sponge because, you know, as long as I've been in the league, they've been doing business, you know, different people. And so it's like they have certain experiences and certain tactics that they have that, you know, if they're willing to share, I'm willing to learn.
Yeah. And, you know, as a young rookie coming in, did you know that you had skills that transfer into real life? Or has it been a learn as you've gotten older, you've started to realize that my skill set can go wherever I want it to go?
Yeah. I think I always knew I could, but I think as I opened myself up. Like I feel like that's the biggest thing for a lot of athletes is being open to it, because when you're getting the league, like you said, you're just trying to stay in.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are just all about ball, which is great and which you have to be, it's, you know, as a professional. But I feel like for me, I was able to manage that, but also be open to so many different things off the field that once I heard about it and hear different stories and hear how people, you know, found their success, I'm like, wait, like I have a lot of the same attributes that these people have. So it almost is kind of like intriguing because it's like, dang, that's in the back of my mind that I know that journey is going to be a whole different journey, but I know I have the intangibles to be able to succeed at it.
Right.
And so, I don't think I ever was, you know, I always knew that I was built to be able to be successful in whatever I put my mind to. But, you know, football has been, you know, what I've had the opportunity to do and been a platform I've been given. But I know, you know, whenever I had to turn that page, you know, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. I get asked this question all the time, you know, especially for young athletes who are just getting recruited out of high school. They're trying to decide what school to go to, you know, a lot of hype, not so much hype. Like, you know, how do you decide a place is the right place for you? You know, so my question to you is, you know, what piece of advice would you give a young athlete who is trying to make that decision on where to go to school so they can set themselves up for future, whether it's a job or a career path outside of football, or they get a chance to go and play at the next level?
Yeah. I would say just, you know, look beyond just the surface level of what they're, you know, putting in your face. Because I know how college recruitment is. They want to tell you all the great things there is. And a lot of these schools do have great things, but I would say, you know yourself and know what are you trying to get out of this experience.
What would you call surface?
Surface level is a cool locker room, cool uniforms, cool stadium, you know, all the things that
cool
are
gloves.
Cool gloves, like, you know, because they'll bring them in, they'll put them in the jerseys and have them doing all that. And it's like, it's great. Like, it's going to be great. There's so many places that are great, but those are the perks of being a college athlete. But there's so much more you can get out of a college experience if you know what you're looking for. And so, like I said, for me, it was always finding somewhere where I knew post-football, it'd give me an edge. I think Penn State gives everyone who leaves Penn State as an athlete gets an edge just because of the networking.
Oh, he's recruiting for Penn State now, guys. He's recruiting
if you want to go to Penn State, listen to me. That's the best place you can go. You just got to find, you know, those factors that are important to you that I think, you know, go beyond football and all the smoke and mirror.
Yeah. That's great advice, man. Because ultimately it's getting to let's think long term versus short term.
Yes.
You know, and I think where we are right now, everything is happening so fast with reels and TikTok clips and things like that our brain has been programmed to think that way.
For sure.
And so it's important to think long term when you're thinking about your future. Because this game will end. No matter how long you think you can play for, but your body's going to tell you when your body says you're done, you're done. You know, my retirement present from the NFL was a torn Achilles. I'm flying back to Tennessee to sign my extension. And I go into the gym and do a little light workout, and then I was going to do a little running, and I got into a back pedal and come out the back pedal, pop, tore my Achilles. And I knew it was at that time, it was, when I was going into year 11, I was like, you know what? It's time. So the body will tell you this game is not forever. And so being able to think about those relationships, which is really important. I think, the first thing that is important, that things that you just said is, you had a lot of self-awareness, a lot of self-awareness of, where you want to go and how you want to move, but then taking that self-awareness and then applying it in the spaces that you need to apply it. And so that's what Intangibles is about. That's what the understanding those earlier in life will help you later in life. And, fortunate for an older guy like myself, it's taken a long time to realize that those skills are transferable. And I just don't want that to happen for others to think that, wait that long to realize that your skill sets are transferable.
No, so, for sure.
So as I'm wrapping up here, man, I really appreciate you joining us on Intangible podcast. As you look back over your upbringing, you look back over your career, as well as where you are right now in your career and thinking about your future. What are those intangibles that makes you who you are, and those intangibles that's going to take you to the next phase of your life?
Yeah, like I said, it always starts with discipline. That was my foundation from the beginning. Being able to be consistent in whatever you do. Be consistent. I always go back to related football because that's been my experience. But if you're consistently the guy who gives effort to the fullest extent, be that guy consistently every single day and wake up knowing I'm going to go outwork the next guy. Consistency, discipline, time management, and just being able to sacrifice. I think at the end of the day, sacrificing the immediate gratification for success later. And no matter what you do, I think it's going to always be beneficial.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Dude, it's been a great podcast, man. I really appreciate you jumping in and telling your story. I think it's phenomenal to see the maturity, the growth in someone like yourself. And I think, our audience is going to learn a lot from who you are, man. So thank you for being who you are, and look forward to watching you guys this year. I'll be at a lot of games now.
Yes,
I'll be at a lot of games, and I'll be being up there with my armchair quarterback. Come on, man, got to get out there, break faster. Come on. So again, Amani, I really appreciate you joining on the Intangible podcast.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, this is awesome.